Stephanie Kearney, and I'm a staff service analyst with Calaveras Health and Human Services Agency. My specialty is CalFresh, Medi-Cal. I do some Medi-Cal, CalWorks, foster care, KinGap, anything tied to children in placement of any kind. So that's my background.
My name is Gwen Barnes. I worked with Calaveras County Public Health as a community engagement coordinator. My program is CalFresh, Healthy Living. And we're going to talk about our programs a little more right now so you guys can learn about them.
So this is an overview of all of our programs. I focused mostly on our CalFresh and Medi-Cal because a lot of seniors don't realize that even if they have Medicare and even if they have Medicare and supplemental plans, they could still be potentially eligible for Medi-Cal. And Medi-Cal may be able, especially through Area 12, would be able to help pay for some of the programs that they have. So our biggest program is CalFresh, and it's known as SNAP. It was known as food stamps. So in the days when they actually had stamps that they handed out, now we do everything with an EBT card. It's just like using an ATM card or a credit card when you go grocery shopping. We have Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is our county's largest program. A lot of people qualify for Medi-Cal when they don't really qualify for anything else that we administer. General Assistance is a loan program to help adults without children maybe get through a rough time. It's time limited for 3 months, and it's not very much money, and most people don't want to do it. CalWorks or Cash Aid is for our families in the community. So anybody with children that are experiencing hard times can come in and apply for Cash Aid. Any questions? And then tied to our Cash Aid is Welfare to Work, and they help find jobs for people or help them get an education so that they can get a better job.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Quite a few years ago, there was a young woman that ended up at my house who had no home, had no anything.
Mm-hmm.
She was like 18 years old, and when I called the county, they said there was nothing that could be done for her. So I'm curious, it seems like then maybe this is different, that she could have gone to CalFresh and gotten some help getting work. And
So if she was 18 years old, absolutely she could have gotten, and it depends without knowing the whole situation, but absolutely she could have come in and applied for CalFresh Medi-Cal and then even inquired about general assistance. We would have offered it to her, and gone over the rules. And like I said, because it's a loan program, not too many people jump on it, but there are different ways that we can help.
that was good to know.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've always seen things on Facebook where somebody saying, "Oh, I just need a little bit of help" or something. I mean, is there you have on your card this the HHS website. So would that be something you would recommend saying, "Hey, get a hold of HHS"?
Well, actually, and it's in the PowerPoint, but we have a place where people can go apply, and it's called benefitscal.com. And we actually really are, if people have access, so we're aware everybody in this county does not have access to internet, but if they have access, we encourage them to go on Benefits Cal, because one of the biggest things that the state is working on is what they call the churn. So we have so many people that don't do something they're supposed to or turn in something they're supposed to. They get discontinued, they don't realize it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they want to come back in and reapply. With Benefits Cal, it sends them alerts. It says, you have this report due, or you have this renewal due, or you have, so it tells them what they need to do, and they can go right on there and fill out paperwork and submit it to us. It all uploads directly to our office.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't have access to the internet,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't the library have that service where you can come into the library? Anybody know?
Yes, so
you
each
can-
library has computers,
Mhm.
and they also can print for you. I think it's 5 cents a copy.
Copy. Mm-hmm.
So you can come in here. Also, this library has a kiosk that is for, all right, somebody help me, ARDC, regional, it's a composite website anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that has all these things. They have all the different organizations listed on it, and you can go right to that kiosk and pull things up. You can put in, say, a search term for food and find all the food resources. You can put a search term in for housing, find the housing resources. And the nice thing about the kiosk is you can print right from it, and that doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
So there's
And
one here, and I'm not sure where the rest of them are located.
And if you're using Benefits Cal for us, you really wouldn't need to print anything off, because it just automatically sends everything. If you've filled out all the paperwork, it will send it all to us. And you sign using a PIN number. But when it comes across to us, it looks like a signature. So.
You're saying that you're implying that they have to get on the internet, because I've also seen on Facebook, oh, I don't have access or something.
Correct. They have
On
to.
Facebook then, if they don't have
It's
access.
a
Sometimes it's through a friend or.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. You
Right,
never
but
know when somebody's
it's also on their phone. They can have Benefits Cal on their phones. So yeah, so
And they can go to the office, so you can.
correct. And we have outstations, which I'll be covering as well. So this is just some.
If you have a special app on the phone?
Yes.
CalFresh?
Mhm.
And so that's what they do.
It's Benefits Cal. It's Benefits Cal, and they have an app. Benefitscal.com, and they have an app, and you can correct.
Okay.
And then they can do everything through their phone. Probably way faster than I can even do it on my computer. So this is just some statistics, and this is for the whole state of California. So we had 5.3 million persons on CalFresh in 2024. We issued $12 billion in CalFresh benefits throughout the whole state of California, and the average benefit per household was $189. In 2019, we transitioned people that are on supplemental security income and supplemental state payment, which is SSI SSP, to CalFresh. We were the only state that if they were on those programs, they couldn't get CalFresh, and now they can. So that increased our caseloads considerably. Our program, the CalFresh, is administered by the Department of Agriculture through Food and Nutrition Services, and in Calaveras County, HSA, our department, administers those benefits. The program was originally designed to promote general welfare, to safeguard health. Really, the CalFresh benefit is not meant to buy groceries for a family for a whole month. And a lot of people ask us that. They say, how am I expected to live on this for the month? You're not. It only is really a supplemental program and is only meant to cover about 1/3. But as we discover and as we know, a lot of our, especially our homeless population with zero, and a lot of our seniors that have income, they're only eligible to like $23, potentially only $23 a month. But our homeless population, that's their food. And so it's difficult for them. And then we have a transitional CalFresh program that offers family leaving CalWorks a supplement for 5 months, and it does not use their new income, and it takes out the cash aid. So basically, most families are getting a full grant for their family size for 5 months to help them transition into, this is what it looks like when you work and you have to have a budget, and we have people that work with them for that.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Sorry, so people on disability and people on Social Security were not able to get CalFresh benefits up until now? And was
No, only on SSI, SSP.
okay.
In that specific instance, correct, because the SSP, when the state of California set up the state supplemental payment, it was meant to include the cost of food. However, the cost of food and the CalFresh cost of living adjustments went up faster than the SSP did,
Oh, I got it.
right? So they were still pedaling behind with that program. So they finally said, you know what, we're going to do what the rest of the states do, and we're just going to move them into CalFresh eligibility.
That makes sense. And then how does that dovetail with the Resource Connection Food Bank? How does CalFresh and the food bank?
Actually, we partner a lot with our food bank, and Jen, who I usually take this on the road with Jen, she's a supervisor, and we were in San Diego at a conference and had given the presentation, and we had somebody from the state of California ask us, I never thought of correlating the food banks with CalFresh, and she and I were both looking at each other like, how can you not? So we do a lot of things together. Even last year during the CalFresh Awareness Month, which is May, and we're in that now, we did bookmarks for the libraries that had all of our information on the back of the bookmarks. We were at the USDA food giveaways talking to people about CalFresh. So it's really important that we all partner together, and if they need anything for us to get out into the community, we let them know. Just a quick story, I don't want to go into Gwen's time, but we were at this conference, and another county from this conference talked to us. They were interested in our outstations. How do you run your outstations? How did you choose the communities that your outstations were in? All that kind of stuff. And then, so they kind of explored that option because they had people that they were not serving that they knew were eligible. And then we found out that when they called us back to have the discussion, the communities that they were trying to reach were like 3 hours away from their office. And there was little to no internet out there. And so we started batting things around like, how do you serve these people that need to be served? You can't have we started our outstations because we had workers that lived in that community. So that worker worked that outstation. It's moved away from that now, but they didn't even have anybody that lived in these communities that could work there a couple of days a week. So we started talking, and we found out that USDA food deliveries and the food pantry went out a couple of times a month to this community. And we said, give them applications. Let them pass the applications out, mail them in, do phone interviews. And they went, so the state of California rates everybody. You're a small county, you're a medium county, you're a large county. And they were a small county. And now they moved from being a small county to a medium county because they figured out how they're going to serve that population. So it was really good. So we firmly believe, as I know Gwen does too, the more you talk about your programs, the more you're out in the community, the more ideas people give you, and the more ideas we can give them. So that's what's so important about it. So I just looked, I'm responsible for a report to the state of California, and we had 4,031 households in Calaveras County receiving CalFresh benefits. The state has recognized us numerous, little Calaveras County, numerous years in a row, because per capita, we have more people on CalFresh than any other county in the state of California. And that's because we'll go anywhere to talk about it or to help people apply for it. So we have a total of 6,537 persons on CalFresh. Total issuances in 2024 was $1,466,672. And federally funded persons were 6,524, and we had 13 state funded persons. And that was just about where our money comes from. The criteria, we only look at property in certain instances, but we really don't, we ask people about their property, but we really don't care about the property. We have to look at income. We look at citizenship and immigration status, and we do have work requirements for anybody between the age of 18 and 54 now. It used to be 50 and it's gone up a little bit. And we issue them every month onto what we call an EBT card as long as they're eligible. And this is about the EBT electronic transfer, and it's so easy now because that, you know, you're just swiping a card, so that stigma of standing in line and counting out your stamps is gone. And I understand from some of the younger people that I talk to on the phone that get WIC, they use a card now. They don't have to stand there and use their WIC vouchers. It was always uncomfortable. I was on food stamps when my kids were young, and it was always uncomfortable going to the grocery store. Food for human consumption includes meat, milk, eggs, cereal, anything that's edible. And that includes seeds and plants to grow food for the household. Now, you're not going to be able to take your EBT card to your favorite nursery and use it, because odds are they don't take EBT. But if you go to the grocery store that sells plants that for food, you can get them with your EBT card. Any non-food items such as pet food, soap, paper products, you cannot buy. Alcohol, tobacco, you cannot buy. Unfortunately, vitamins or medicines, and I say unfortunately because a lot of people take vitamins. Any food that can be eaten in the store or marketed to be heated in the store, such as deli foods, you cannot buy. Although during a disaster, you can use your CalFresh benefits. The state will go, disaster, this is what's happening with CalFresh.
A question, why can't, like the pre-cooked foods or whatever, why can't they buy those with the card?
Because the point of these CalFresh is a food supplemental program, and although it makes sense, especially for our homeless people, to be able to do that, they're trying to move people towards healthier foods. So I know at the farmers market, for example, in Sonora, and I don't know about the farmers market, although I love it, in Angels Camp, but our farmers market, if you have a EBT card, you can go swipe your EBT card and they give you tokens, and you can use those tokens with different vendors. Well, what they do over there, and I don't know if they're doing it under a grant or not, but they give them, so if they charge them $1, they give them like $1.50 in tokens. So they get more for going to the farmer's market and picking up the good greens and vegetables and fruits and everything that everybody has than you do when you go to the store and it's $1 for $1.
Well, like a whole chicken that's already pre-cooked for an elderly person would be much easier for them to, I mean, which is still healthy and still good for you, but you know, to go home and cook it, that might not be.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, that part of the program I really don't know that much about, but I will say this, in larger counties, they do have the option. So it could be that there's just no stores in the area or in Calaveras County that wanted to do that. It's like with restaurant meals. Restaurant meals have been around for a long time, well, at least 5 years with CalFresh, and we don't have any restaurants in that will take restaurant card. I mean, we'll take the EBT for restaurant cards. So that could be the problem. It could be the same problem. And then I gave the website to FNS, and then there's the Benefits Cal, and that's where they can go and apply for benefits. And people think that if they come into the office, it'll be done faster. And I'm here to tell you, they get the workers, if you apply at 6 o'clock at night, the next morning the workers got your application and they're working on it and looking at it and preparing an interview for you to give you a call. We try and get most of our interviews for CalFresh done. We have to get them done within 3 days if they're expedite. We try and get them done or interviewed within 5 to 7 days.
Can you mention the app? You know,
The
that's what I'm
EBT?
saying. Yeah, there's
Yes.
one that's not good. And
Yes, there's an EBT app, and it's to help you protect your EBT card from theft. California, as is the rest of the United States, is having a horrible problem with theft off of EBT cards. And there's an app that you can get. It's called EBT Edge. And what it allows you to do is you can go in, lock your card. When you go to the grocery store, you can unlock it, use it, lock it. And nobody can get your benefits that way. But they're stealing mostly CalFresh.
well, and there's also there's like third-party apps that people are using, and people are stealing their information off
Yep.
those apps. So if you look up like CalFresh food stamps like app, there's an app that will come up that's
first.
not the good app.
Right,
And people steal the info off of there.
right. And so it comes up first too. If you use Google, it doesn't matter. We've tried using all different search engines, and for some reason it always comes up first, but it's EBT Edge. And with some of the paperwork we send out to the clients after they apply, we have the QR code. I couldn't remember the name of it, but it has the QR code on it. And it takes you to the correct protection for your EBT card.
So I would think the state of California is trying to get rid of this other app if it just is
not
for
right
a
now.
scam.
I think it's a money
There.
thing too. It's on, if they pay more to get that spot in the app
Oh, yeah.
store. And I think people, it's the first thing that comes up. So
Mhm.
they're gonna click it, they think it's safe,
Right.
they just assume it's safe if it's on the app store. But that's something like we wanted to make sure people knew.
Right.
Because your clients, they need to know that for what they're getting on CalFresh.
I think that's something I can bring up in my senior tech class today too.
That'd be great.
Yes, and last year when we did the food, when we were at the USDA food giveaway, we were talking this up because it was really important. And what happens is people see their benefits go on their card at 12:01 on the day that they're supposed to go on their card, and 12:02 they're gone. Gone completely. These people have such a grip on everything that they're taking, and it's cash and it's CalFresh. And now what happens is we have a lot of seniors that save up their CalFresh benefits till a special occasion like Thanksgiving or something, and we can only replace 2 months. So if they've saved up 6 months of their benefits and somebody comes and wipes it out, then we're done. We can only give them 2 months back, and that's really not fair.
That is so horrible.
Now, if they're not on an
Stealing
app,
from people that already can't afford to buy food, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
if they're not on an app like that, or the one that's not legit, is there other ways that they're getting scammed off of their cards?
Probably not as much.
Yeah, no, actually, this all started because now we've gone to chip cards. Everybody in Calaveras County now has a tap, except the retailers are not all up to date with the EBT tapping, right? And it has a chip in the end of it. So before they used to have to swipe it, and anytime you swipe it, and I'm here to tell you, it's not just the EBT cards. Anytime you swipe your card, credit card, debit card, any card, you are vulnerable. You either need...
Compromised this Monday, actually. Somebody I don't know, whenever she shopped with the card,
Mm-hmm.
somebody got hold of that and tried to buy some Sam's Club for $500 something dollars. And then City Card called me, is like, well, there's some unusual activity. Is it you? And then she's slipping 1 a.m. actually. That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So I had to stop that card completely. And then reorder.
Yeah, swiping your card is not good. Using the chip is better. Tapping it is the best. And it has something to do with the fact that for swiping, it's easy for them to detect. For inserting the chip, it's only a one-way conversation for approval, but when you tap it, something goes out and something comes back, and it's too hard for them to grab both of those things. And it changes every single time you tap your card. So that's what makes it more difficult. And unless I have a little bit to say about Medi-Cal too. Is anybody interested in hearing a little bit about Medi-Cal? Yes. Okay, and then I'm going to stop at that point because Gwen has a really good presentation that she and Jen gave to the Board of Supervisors Tuesday. It's really awesome. So think of Medi-Cal as a glove with many fingers. So we have a lot of programs under Medi-Cal. We call it Medi-Cal, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can qualify for Medi-Cal. So as of April of 2025, we have 7,692 cases. That is not people, that is cases. So, and in most of our cases, especially families, obviously there's at least 3 or 4 people in those cases. Medi-Cal is a program that provides health-related services for people. And we have healthcare hotline, and there's the telephone number. It's 209-754-6644, where you can get your Medi-Cal questions answered. And you can also apply for Medi-Cal on that number. So we do take Medi-Cal applications over the phone. Actually, we take any application over the phone. So whatever you want to apply for, you can call our main number and apply for it, and we'll get you set up with a worker and get your case going. Medi-Cal is just the most popular. It's been doing phone apps for a long time. And even if you have Medicare, you can qualify for Medi-Cal. So.
Yeah, I had a client, I kept telling her for months, apply for Medi-Cal, see if you qualify. But what if I have a share of cost? Well, then you'll know, and you can either take it or decline it. I finally convinced her to do it, and she got it with no share of cost.
Yes. Yeah, and here's the thing. We work closely with Area 12, and so we know like how much a client has to spend on a secondary plan, for example, whether it's just a vision, just a dental vision, or dental vision with some medical. But we can give them the number. This is how much they have to spend so that they'll have a 0 share of cost Medi-Cal. So if they have Medicare, they're triple covered. They have Medicare, they have their secondary health care plan, supplemental, and then they have Medi-Cal. And it works out really good for people that can't afford any other out-of-pocket medical expenses. And Medi-Cal is based on your income. They just got rid of having us look at property for certain programs, and now they're talking about bringing that back in January. So our programs just change as fast as anything right now. So you can come in or call our main office in San Andreas, or you can go to any of our outstations. And you can apply online at Benefits Cal. You can be mailed a single streamline application, and almost all of our Medi-Cal application by regulation are done through the phone. So we'll mail you out paperwork and you just send it back to us. The exception to that circumstances is if you have an emergency, you can request to be seen in person.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I was always under the impression that Medi-Cal took the place of a supplemental insurance if you're on Medicare.
It does if you, in theory it does, if you qualify for a zero share of cost. But if you have a share of cost, you can either be okay with that, or we can figure out a way for you to have Medi-Cal without a share of cost.
Okay. But are there instances then where you would want Medicare, Medi-Cal, and a supplement?
There's a lot of people that have Medicare, a supplement, and Medi-Cal, and that's how things are billed. Medicare gets billed first, your secondary supplemental insurance gets billed second, and Medi-Cal gets billed last. So what happens is a lot of people that have Medicare it will qualify for a zero share of cost Medi-Cal with a dental plan and a vision plan. Well, Medicare doesn't cover dental anyway. So you have Medi-Cal for that, and now you have supplements for that, and now you have a zero share of cost Medi-Cal. Okay. And if you have trouble, if people will have trouble filling out their paperwork, we can help them, you can help them, anybody can help them fill out their paperwork, and they can even request to have an authorized representative, so that's somebody that they know and trust that can work on their behalf. They can also go back for 3 months to get, so let's say somebody's had to have a surgery and it was major, they can go back. So if they apply this month, which is May, we can go back and look at April, March, and February and determine their eligibility for those 3 months as well, and get them the Medi-Cal that they're entitled to for those months. Sometimes they have a share of cost, and we just discussed that. And the resource limit for one person was raised just recently from $2,000 to $130,000. So this is a resource-based Medi-Cal programs, and not all of our Medi-Cal programs are resource-based.
And what does that mean?
So now, so a lot of people have been hesitant to come in and apply for Medi-Cal because they have stuff. They have cars, boats, trailers. Our seniors have worked real hard their whole lives to accrue things that they can enjoy during their retirement. And they would go, with, our vehicles, and we own our home, and with all this stuff, we're not going to qualify. And we have money in the bank. We have a retirement account, for example. Well, we look at, first of all, if you live in your home, it's exempt. Don't care if it's worth $2 million. If you live in it, it's exempt. It's your home. You can have boats, trailers, as long as those kinds of things do not add up to $130,000, you're good. Okay? So, and actually what they did then is they took that $130 on certain programs and just totally wiped it out and said, we don't care about your resources now. And now they're talking at the state level about resources again.
So they don't care about the resources, meaning
We need to know what they are.
the things that we have accumulated, let's
Correct.
just say, but it's more based on strictly income now.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question. Why is the share of cost for some people so high that it exceeds their monthly income? Because I know some people who have a share of cost, like a $3,000 share of cost, and they don't even make that much money a month. And it doesn't make sense to me that
doesn't make sense to
the
me
share of
either.
cost is so high, and then they'll say, well, forget it because I can't afford it, But a lot of times the share
Well,
of cost
that's
exceeds their monthly
weird.
income.
So we look at, if there's husband and wife, we look at both incomes.
Right.
And so for a couple, I am not a real super Medi-Cal person, but we take away what the state says the cost of living is for 2 people, which I think is like $934, and anything over that is your share of cost. So, and we look at gross income. So for example, if you are having taxes taken out of your check and other things taken out of your checks,
Well, these are people who are older, they don't work anymore, so they have fixed income, so.
right, then
Yeah. I don't
that's
know,
how
I
the
just-
budget,
I
that's
see
how
this
the
all the
budget
time,
would work.
but
That,
it's just horrendous, and it's like, how can they afford it then, because it's just, it's too much.
and if they still have that in this county, they need to call their worker and ask them to explain the budget, that will explain budgets, okay? And we do have annual determinations or redeterminations.
Good morning. My name is Gwen Barnes. I know I already introduced myself, but just to remind you. And I work with the CalFresh Healthy Living Program, which is the other side of the CalFresh Food Services program she was just talking about.
Can you dismiss?
So, what is CalFresh? We just went over her presentation, so I won't linger too long. It's a program that helps low-income community members buy healthy groceries to ensure they have nutritious food. And that's the food assistance side. And then my side of it, on my program, is CalFresh Healthy Living. And we teach people how to make healthy decisions with the food that they get. So we do classes, education, all sorts of things. Okay. So there are some common misconceptions, and you went over them a little bit, that clients who are on CalFresh have no income. So a lot of people just assume, like, well, they must not have a job, they must not be doing anything if they have these food stamps. It's not true. Over 70% of the households have income, and they still can't meet their food needs. So it's a very necessary program. And then the other one is that CalFresh recipients can buy whatever they want with their benefits, and as she said, they can't buy hotter prepared food, alcohol, tobacco products, but they can get seeds, things that they need for growing healthy food, along with the food that they get. Farmers markets, a lot of really important resources.
I think I heard on the news that they also were eliminating soda and chips. Is
So
that
that's in certain states.
okay?
They're trying that out. They're thinking about eliminating soda, like junk food, but it is very vague, you know, because how are they going to decide what counts as junk food? So
Right.
I am curious to see how that ends up working out in those states.
Okay.
I don't know much else other than that, though.
No, I don't
I
either.
only get to hear about the news for the California CalFresh program, so I'm sure we'll hear something next few months. Okay, so why do we need CalFresh in our community? As she said, we have a lot of people on CalFresh in our community, so I think that tells you enough right there. But we have a lack of affordable grocery stores in our community, so our community members have to travel farther to reach affordable grocery stores. I was at a training the other day in Turlock, and they have all the stores, because it's the Central Valley, and I was telling them about where I live, and they were like, you don't have a Walmart? You don't have a Ross? Like, you don't have all these things? I was like, no, we don't have that up here. You know, we have to drive a good distance at like 30, if you live in West Point, you know, up to 45, maybe an hour depending on where you're going. If you live in Mountain Ranch, the same thing. All these stores are not super close to us. And you might have stores that are close to you, but it might be more like a gas station, like a mini mart. Like in West Point, they have a gas station where a lot of people go to get their food. And they have like a little bit of produce, but it's not going to be the freshest options, right? If you're getting it somewhere like that. The other, yeah, they got Dollar General too. It's kind of the same thing. It's like how fresh are the options going to be, and how affordable is it going to be compared to the stores that are going to be maybe in the valley. Right. And we actually have a lot of people in our community who drive out of the county to go grocery shopping. It's a pretty common thing when you meet people up here. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going out this weekend to Costco. I'm going down to, you know, like just somewhere in the valley basically to save money, because shopping up here it's very expensive. And you'd think it wouldn't be because we're rural, but it is, unfortunately. The other thing I wanted to touch on is the cost of living. So the cost of living makes it really difficult for people who are using CalFresh. So as you were saying, if you're on CalFresh and you're on a fixed income, older adults who aren't working anymore, they might get, what is it, 20 bucks? 23 bucks for a month, a supplemental. So just think about that. How far that's going to go nowadays. That's like maybe 2 things if you're lucky, right?
The lady that qualified for Medi-Cal that I worked with, and she also applied for was first gonna deny it. She goes, they only gonna give me $23. And I said, well, $23 is better than nothing
Yeah.
at all.
It makes a difference.
And then
It
she's
does.
changed her mind.
Yeah, but especially if you end up going somewhere where it goes further, it helps a lot. So something that happens a lot is people are having to choose between food and other necessities. I have friends up here in this county and they have kids. So sometimes they have to decide, okay, well, am I going to get food this month, extra food to put on the table, or am I going to get my kid new shoes?
Or
And that-
heating and air conditioning in their home.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you have to choose between, especially in families. How are you going to decide? Or my car breaks down. How am I going to fix my car and also pay for my food this month? And that's a big reason we need programs like CalFresh. Because if something does happen, your car breaks down, your AC breaks in the middle of summer, you're going to need some supplemental assistance to help you out. So it's really good that we have that program. And the third thing is a lack of transportation. So if you guys live in Sacramento, you know you can walk to grocery stores a lot. You can hop on the bus pretty easy, get to the grocery store. Our transportation appears pretty limited. I work for public health, and we did a survey in 2023. It was a community health assessment survey to see basically what people felt like they needed more of in the community. And the number one thing people listed was that we have a lack of transportation for getting to healthcare, groceries, all the things they need. So it's not as easy here as it is other places of I'm gonna hop on the bus or the trolley to just get over to the grocery store. So you have to think about that and think about how much gas costs today when we drove by it. It's $5 today in San Andreas. You said how much in Sacramento?
About the same.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
depends.
and
Cost-
it's
Costco's cheaper, but
yeah, and then
most
think
gas stations
think about your commuting every day. You're commuting every day from West Point, you know, let's say, all the way down to Jackson to go to the grocery store, maybe out of the county if you want to go, or out of Amador if you want to go even cheaper. How much is that going to cost in gas for transportation? Or the issue again, what if your car breaks down?
What if you don't have a vehicle?
What if you don't have a vehicle?
Drive anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So our older population, what are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to get to things? And that is a really important reason we need the CalFresh supplement stuff too. So those are really difficult, and I really wanted to highlight the cost of food increases that we have. This is between 2019 and 2024. This isn't even including 2025, so the eggs should be higher, right? Because that would be this year. Yeah, so think about that budget we were talking about earlier, the $23. What can you get on here? What would you prioritize if you're an older adult living in Calaveras County? What are you going to prioritize to get for your groceries so that you can make it through the month? Right? You're not getting everything.
Milk, bread,
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah.
So my car insurance just jumped $50 a month.
And
I
yeah.
had no accidents, nothing, they just went.
And fire insurance up here, like renter's insurance, everything gets higher and higher, the rent. And these are all based off of the Consumer Price Index report. So they're all found from like the same data source, if you're wondering where it came from. Okay, so these difficulties make things hard. It makes it hard to get food in Calaveras County. It makes it hard to get the nutrition that you need. But our programs actually do make a big difference. So, CalFresh Food Successes, this is the program that you guys are on. So, you already went over the numbers, so the basics. In 2019, there were 2,863 households helped. In 2024, there was 3,965. And then what's the number now? Isn't it over 4,000?
4,065.
Yeah. So that's how many households, and like she said, household doesn't mean one person. That means whoever's living in that house. So it could be a lot of people. For outreach, you were talking about the exceptional client access you have, the outstations. So people who live in West Point, Mountain Ranch, Arnold, they don't have to go all the way down to San Andreas to get the help they need. They can go to those outstations, yeah, and meet with professionals there. So they don't have to make a huge commute. And like they said, leading the way, they inspired those other counties to get their programs running a lot better, like ours is. And these are pictures of them from different events. So that was you guys speaking, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking at an event.
My mouth open, yes.
Yeah. And then this is the children's fair that we do every year. So this is their event. They did the children's fair. All right, so CalFresh Food Successes, the CalFresh Food Assistance Program is super, super important. And the other side of that program is the program I work in, which is CalFresh Healthy Living. So CalFresh Healthy Living is the program that teaches people how to use the food that they get in the most efficient way. So last year we saw about 526 community members, and that's give or take because it's hard to keep track sometimes. Our team is me and Danny. So, and there is other CalFresh teams, but they work for the UC system, and they go to the other schools. So we do education on nutrition, physical activity, gardening for all ages. So I mostly focus on youth, and Danny sees the older population. So with the youth, what I do is I go into the local elementary schools. I see each class anywhere from like 4 to 6 times a year. So I have a good relationships with these kids, and they're learning about nutrition throughout the school year, every school year. So I'll see a kid maybe from the year before, and they can tell me the things they remember that we learned last year, which makes a big difference. So thinking about kids, they don't get to choose what they eat at home, do they? A lot of the times. They're not like, their parents don't ask them, what are we getting at the store today? I want you to write our grocery list, because that would be impractical, right? But empowering them with nutrition education allows them to make those choices at school, right? Or if they're getting a snack after school, they can decide between, okay, I'm gonna get a Monster energy drink, or I'm gonna get a water. And those little choices make a really big difference, and especially in nutrition education, that's what we learn, is getting someone to make one small change in their life can have a huge impact. So with the kids, we do food demonstrations, so we'll cook in the classroom, and that's what that top left picture is there. That's a first, second grade class in West Point, and we teach nutrition ed along with food because it gets them excited about learning about it. We do gardening education, so the kids are learning where their food comes from. So they're starting the food from seed, and then they're harvesting it the next year from the garden beds, which is really exciting, and it makes them more interested in eating new foods, trying new things. We also do physical activity. I don't have a picture here, but we do PE with the kids, because a really important thing that goes along with the nutrition ed is moving your body. Because as you guys know, you can't be healthy just doing one or the other, right? You gotta do a little bit of both. So we got 2 community gardens we take the kids to, one in West Point and one in Moke Hill that we're establishing right now, we're working on. And then 3 of the school gardens. And then we do have education that we do for older adults and just adults in general. We go to the Peer Center. It's on Main Street in San Andreas. It's run by Behavioral Health, and it's basically a center where adults of any age can go and meet up with their peers. They have support groups. They have, yeah, you should definitely, I can send you Danielle's contact. She runs it, yeah. And we do nutrition classes there once a month. So the things we teach at those classes are things like how to shop on a budget, how to cook for one, how to cook if you don't have much of a kitchen. Like let's say you live in a trailer or something. You can cook with limited things. And these classes are fun too because we do cooking. So we learn how to make affordable recipes that end up being good and teaching them just basic skills like that. Because a lot of people, most of us didn't learn nutrition education in school. That's what I learned. Now that I teach it in school, I realize how cool of a resource that it is for the kids and adults to have, since we didn't have it. We do have some projects coming up. We're gonna.
Is that the little house that's over by the VFW?
They moved it. I think it used to be over there. It's right by Round Table Pizza.
In Valley Springs?
No, there's a Round Table in San Andreas, right? It's
No.
Is it the
Are you
pizza
talking
factory?
about the
Pizza Factory. It's Pizza Factory.
Wellness Center, it's by Umpqua Bank.
Yeah, it's by the Umpqua Bank and the pizza place. And they're open most weekdays, and they do support groups, they do activities, they do physical activities, nutrition.
I don't, but I actually have a client that she's very, has a lot of talents, and she was very depressed being at home. Can't walk, and, well, she can walk, but she's losing the strength in her legs. And I coordinated with Danielle, and I suggested to her, why don't you see about teaching her crafts? And they wanted to do more craft stuff. So the 3rd Wednesday of every month, I take my client there, and she teaches a craft group, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah, they do art. They love it too, because the peers tell me about all the things they get to do there, and they love all the different programs. And there's something for everyone. They even have a men's support group. which is something that can be hard to find. So we're going to be doing a food waste reduction competition at West Point Elementary. So we do composting in a lot of the schools so the kids can learn how to waste less food. But the competition we're doing will be each class will compete with each other to see who can make the least amount of waste in a week in the lunchroom. And the class that wins will get a yogurt parfait party, which will be fun. But the thing that's cool about these competitions is they've been proven to actually lower the amount of food waste a school creates over a year. Just because the kids learn how to make conscious decisions about like, okay, do I really need to take 2 bananas if I'm just going to throw one out? Or do I just need to take 1 or smaller servings, not over-serving themselves? We're also going to be trying to do some parent and caregiver nutrition classes this year throughout the county. So focusing on like guardians, parents, maybe even caregivers for seniors, and just talking about nutrition basics and just like, hey, how can you feed someone if you don't know that much about nutrition in a balanced way? And then we're going to be doing some senior movement classes at a few of the senior centers as well. Yeah.
West Point has a senior center?
I don't know if West Point does. We only have a few senior center sites, and then the UC program has the other ones. So I think we're going to try to do a cooking class at the one in Murphy soon, and then PE at the one in San Andreas. And age appropriate, of course, and disability appropriate and everything. So everyone can do it, which is nice. So thank you guys for listening to my presentation. If you need to contact me, my stuff is right there. And I also have my card, if anyone wants my card. And then that's the contact for Jennifer Pruden, who's the eligibility supervisor that you work with at HHSA. So I'm found at Public Health, and then they're found at HHSA across the street, but we do work together. So.
And when you came and did a presentation at our unit meeting, I was really impressed when you talked about about buying frozen, like vegetables and fruits and stuff. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because I think that that's really, and you have it created a monster with my husband because he opens like chicken broth and he only needs half of it.
Yeah.
He'll put the other half in a Ziploc and let it freeze a little bit, then suck all the air out of it, and he dates it and puts it in the freezer.
It helps, because food waste is a huge way we lose money.
Right.
So that was a tip I was teaching them, something we teach the adults, is buying vegetables and fruits frozen is actually a better option a lot of the time. They freeze it at the peak freshness. So the stuff that's sitting in the produce section, it could have been there for weeks, right? Because they put that wax on the apples and stuff. So who knows how long it's been sitting there. But the frozen stuff, they freeze right away when it's fresh. So it has all the nutrients in it that you're going to be able to get from it. And it lasts longer in your freezer, and you can keep reusing it. So it's nice.
That's what they say about fish, too.
Yeah.
That buying fresh frozen fish is actually better than going to the market and.
Yeah. I guess unless you live like on the wharf, it's probably.
Get there as soon as the boats get in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, it's a cost saver because, like, I wake up in the morning and I make myself a blueberry shake, protein shake.
Yeah.
And I buy frozen blueberries now, and they're tasty.
Did you need this?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And they last a long time and they're less expensive than, you know, because when you start picking through the blueberries
Of
that are
course.
fresh, some of them are good, some of them are bad. So.
Thanks.
Is that correct?
Oh, that's the wrong card. Sorry, that was a card I had for my wedding I was planning.
Thing because the moldy ones are gonna be on the bottom, so I always
Right.
look at the bottom, make sure they're good all the way through the.
I believe Gwen brought a very good point about the nutritional education.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think, oh, if you buy these chips, it will keep you healthy or you know, the
Yeah.
junk food, right? But it actually causes them health issues and
Yeah.
and causes state and overall our society costs more.
Yeah.
Because you know we have to pay more our insurance rate goes up because those people who don't eat healthy, they go more often to the hospital.
Yep.
And we have to treat them in the hospital, and then therefore the medical
Yeah.
bill goes up, and
It's huge.
everyone's insurance is going up, right?
Yeah.
The
And
premium for-
we teach the kids and the adults. The kids love the lesson. We call it food marketing, and we teach the kids how like food companies basically lie to you to try to make their food seem healthy, you know, and they market things to kids specifically. Like if you go in the grocery store, all the eye level stuff, right? They pay more to get their stuff at eye level. It's more colorful. They'll put the characters on it, but it's less healthy. So just teaching them stuff like that.
On the bottom or not on the top?
Yeah.
But it's hard to see.
Yeah. It's fun though. The kids are really smart. They're very receptive to what they're learning. And like I had a first grader the other day come up to me and she was like, she had a little plate of snacks and she was like, does this look healthy? Because I teach her at her school and this is like an after school program. And I was like, yeah, it does. Like what food groups are in there? Because we talk about eating all the different food groups from the My Plate. And she listed all 4 of the food groups on her plate without me even prompting it, just from our lessons that we do in class. So it does stick with them. You know, it doesn't always feel like it when they're all throwing things around the classroom and being crazy, but like it does stick with them, and they teach their parents a lot of the time. Because we have a coworker, and her son was in our classes, and she said, she was like, I had to stop buying sugar cereal because my son told me we couldn't get it anymore. And he's in sports, and he was like, I need to be healthy, Mom. I can't eat this anymore. Yeah. So they do, it rubs off on their whole family, which is nice. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it.